So, we are starting in the basement today because it's a little bit rainy outside. So we're gonna go from the basement to the outside and then maybe hide back in the basement again. Because it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I really don't want to go walking through the woods in the rain. Had another little bit, it's not really a hard night sleeping, honestly. Didn't really have a hard night sleeping. Just had another one of those weird night sleeps where I don't even know when I finally fell asleep, but I didn't wake up till 12:30. It's so weird. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you've only been up for like 4.5 hours. You're like, huh. I like had my breakfast at like 1:30 in the afternoon. My oatmeal and raisins, 1:30 in the afternoon. Welcome to jet lag. Welcome to jet lag. And again, like I say, this is, I've had lots of offers for jobs for contracting gigs where you fly all over the country and all over the world. And this is basically why I haven't taken those offers. Because maybe a lot of money, maybe a foolish amount of money. But can you imagine having to deal with this crap like day in, day out, like always getting over jet lag? That is not a great life to have. But anyways, this is my little basement. As you will see, with everything in my house is high tech. I'm like high geek tech stuff. So that's our nice little geothermal HVAC system. So these pipes actually go out to the wells outside. So liquid, I'm not sure if it's water, but liquid goes through these pipes. And then it's all the cooling and the heating or whatever is pulled out and that goes to the rest of the house. So that's our nice little HVAC system. And then we have our water heater here. And this water heater is also part of the whole HVAC system. So that's our nice little high-tech thing. And right now I'm trying to clean up this whole area because as I've talked about before, I need to fix these walls because the water leaks through the walls. And not only does water leak through the walls, but also dirt after many years. So I've been slowly trying to mop these floors and get them clean so that I can then seal them, fix some of the cement a little bit and seal them. So that's one of the nice little projects that I've been doing while we're here over the next 3 weeks. We go out, we see the rest of the place, the big basement. So if you saw some of my old videos, if you saw some of my old Eli the Computer Guy videos, you will probably notice, you'll probably recognize that stonework that used to be in the background. So for a while, I would actually stand like right there with my whiteboard, and that was one place that I used to do my classes. And then over here, this for a while, this whole corner over here was where my bat cave was, and this is where I had the whole big setup. So I had a whole setup with monitors and all kinds of stuff behind me, and that was all down here. And back then, see, my idea was I was going to turn this into my bat cave. So actually, when I talk about bat cave, this is the terminology of Batcave. When I talk about Batcave rules, basically where the concept of Batcave rules came from was if people came down here to my Batcave and we had a conversation, basically it meant whatever we had in that conversation was off the table. So kind of like Las Vegas rules. But this is when I talk about the Batcave. This used to be the Batcave. I had big old whiteboard, and I had my server rack down here, and my conference table, and I had all my stuff down here. All the way up until it turned winter. And then it became winter, and then it became cold. And it was one of those things where at first I had my nice little space heater down here, and then I had 2 space heaters down here, and then I had like a kerosene burning space heater down here, and then at a certain point, no matter how much heat I had down here, it was always freezing cold. And so I realized the Bat Cave was a cool idea, but this would be a better place just for the woodworking equipment and all of that kind of stuff. It would not actually make a good place to do work. Anyways, this is the Bat Cave. So whenever you hear me talk about Bat Cave rules, this is where the concept of the Bat Cave rules came from. You come down to my Bat Cave, and if we have a conversation down here, basically it means it is off the table. Now the Batcave no longer exists, but the terminology Batcave rules still does. And it is interesting. It's like all those little backstories. There's all these words we say and all these sound bites we say and all these things we do and say. And at some point you forget where they came from. Like, where did the idea of Batcave rules come from? Oh, that's right. A few years ago, I had a Batcave that I no longer have. Anyways, you can see our nice little boats are getting washed in the rain. So I pulled these out since we're going to be doing more of the water adventuring soon. So I have the kayak racks for my F-150, and so when we go out, I have to decide which one of these boats I'm going to be taking. So these are sea kayaks right here. These are sea kayaks. They're really nice. They're great. I've taken around for a lot of things. The problem is that they're heavy. They're like, I don't know, 50 pounds a piece, which is a real pain in the butt. These are Hornbeck canoes. Hornbeck boats, right? Hornbeck. You can see it. Let's see. Hornbeck, right? And they are absolutely awesome. And you want to know why these are absolutely awesome? And this is where I talk about everything in my life is geek. Is because these are actually carbon fiber canoes, and these are something called lost pond canoes from up in the Adirondacks. And the idea of the Adirondacks, there are a lot of ponds and there's a lot of waterways that are kind of hidden up in the mountains, and so you want to be able to take a little boat out on them and explore them, but you can't drag a 50-pound kayak or any other boat to get to them. So what you do is you make a boat that is so light, you can easily carry it all the way. So think about that. That is which one? I guess that's mine over there. So the 12-footer, so I think this is the 10-footer. This is my wife's. So the 10-foot Lost Pond, and I can hold it with 3 fingers, literally. I'll probably hold it with 2. I might hold it with 1, but then I might drop it. But this is like, I don't know, what do they say? I think this is like somewhere between 10 to 15 pounds for the 10-footer, and then the 12-footer is actually 15 pounds. But I mean, look at that. I mean, that's a 12-foot boat right there, a 12-foot fiber carbon boat. And you can just pick this thing up, just easy peasy, right? 2 fingers. It's got a nice little thing in there. I say I need to clean them all up, but these are called Lost Pond canoes. Absolutely awesome. So we have to determine. We only got 1 rack, so we can either take the Lost Pond canoes or we can take the sea kayaks. And I think my wife likes the Lost Pond canoes better. Here's a problem: like everything has a trade-off. And so the sea kayaks are a lot better in a lot of conditions because they actually are heavy. They ride lower in the water, and they're built better for like cutting through water. So like when you're in large bodies of water, wind and things like that don't really bother you at all. You can just cut right through it. Whereas with these, they're light as hell. Again, anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds, which means you can take them anywhere. But they ride very high in the water. And if there's a lot of wind or anything, you can really get blown around. So I would probably prefer the kayaks, but I think my wife is gonna say the Lost Pond canoes are the way to go. So we'll see. Anyways, oh, it's a beautiful day out here. Nice, beautiful, rainy day. Definitely not. I am missing the 100-degree. I'm not really missing 100-degree temperature. I'm missing 90-degree temperature. Again, I wish I could find a place where weather is like right in the middle. Not 100 degrees, not 65 degrees, like 80. A good old 80 degrees would be nice. But oh well. Anyways, let's go. Let's get some fish food. You guys always like to see the fish food. And I'm going to start saying guys more on this video. I looked at the YouTube, the demographic analytics for this channel. You know how I say guys, girls, Z's, or whatever else? Well, apparently it's basically guys. I looked at the YouTube analytic, the demographics analytics for the Fail Normal channel, and yes, indeed, it is literally 96% male. 96% male. So it's funny, like when you think about creating content and the people that watch it, because when I created tech content and it was like 90% male, I don't really like that. I wish more women would watch, but I guess you kind of get it. You know, it's like, again, not moral or ethic. You know, it's just how the world is. So you're like, oh, okay. More males want to hear tech content than females. But what I find really weird is on this Failed Normal channel, which seems like it would be more well-rounded, I would think, more well-rounded. Yet it's 96% males. Watch this. Holy crap, holy crap. That is, as I would say, that is absolutely and utterly redonkulous. Really redonkulous. Okay, so let's look at fish. Dun 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 dun. Oh, look at that, see the fish coming up. Feeding the fish. It's nice, I got a little, I set up a little skimmer system yesterday to try to skim off a lot of the crap that was sitting on the top layer of the pond. So that's nice. Got rid of a lot of the grass and the leaves and all that kind of thing, so you can see the fish a lot better now. The water's starting to clear up. We've got our nice little filter pond and filter trying to clean up the water, but I guess it'll take quite a while. And those are the fish. Those are the fish. But anyways, we're approximately 10 minutes into this video, so at this point, all the people that would get bored with the video have probably left. So let's get to the topic at hand. Let's get to the topic at hand and talk about YouTube drama and how it is all in your head, right? Because YouTube drama has been a big thing now. Everybody's talking about YouTube drama, YouTube drama, YouTube drama. Why is there so much YouTube drama, right? And why this comes up is, again, it's very topical. Whenever I talk about these things, I talk about them topically, because I think that's the best way to do things. Really, like, if you're going to talk about something, why not talk about, like, the real things that are going on in life, so that you can explain them from your point of view and give real examples, right? So anyways, there's this whole thing with YouTube drama now. YouTube drama. And I was curious, and basically, you know, I said my bit before about most of YouTube drama and figured I would let it go, wouldn't talk about it anymore, because it had gone past its point of being interesting, right? That was all the way up until I woke up at 12:30 this afternoon and saw my comment feed. I may be sitting there and you may be thinking, well, Eli, what does that have to do with anything? What does YouTube drama have to do with your comment feed? Well, I went onto my Fail Normal comment feed, so this channel's comment feed, and holy hell, I was getting eviscerated on my comment feed, like all out of nowhere, right? I've been very happy with the YouTube, or with the Fail Normal comment feed, because it's been pretty good. It's been pretty nice, I do have to say. You know, I get some people, I get the vegans, get a little spastic every once in a while. We keep the vegans in check. And otherwise, like the Failed Normal comment stream is pretty reasonable. Again, some people disagree with what I have to say, and some people agree with what I have to say. You know, some people are more verbose than others, but so it's all pretty reasonable. And then this morning, holy crap, then this morning I wake up to my comment stream, and it is just full of trash. It is just full of I'm like, what the hell? And they're all saying that basically, Louis Rossman, you knew it was going to come back to Louis. You knew Louis was going to be part of this, right? Louis Rossman went all Street Fighter on me. And I'm an asshole. And I'm this. And I'm that. And I'm the other thing. And I was like, what? What the hell, right? Because Louis Rossman and I have this thing that's been going back and forth. It's been going back and forth full force for like 2 or 3 months now. But I guess our little YouTube relationship has been going on for about 6 months. But we have this back and forth thing about, I think he should be a content creator and this and that and the other. And I talk about Louis a lot. And the reason that I talk about Louis a lot is because especially for me trying to talk about real topics, he's actually a very good foil for me. He's a very good example that I can point out. And then again, you folks, you guys, can figure out what the hell you want to do in life. Again, I am not telling you what to do in life. I am simply telling you my opinions and why I believe those opinions, and then you can figure it the hell out. And so what I like with Louis is he's in like that perfect, he is in that optimal time frame to be used as a premium example for many things, right? Because he's like 27 years old. So he's 27 years old, which means he's not a kid, but he's not like old and crotchety like me yet, right? He's still malleable. He's still trying to figure out what the hell he wants to do in life and where exactly he's going and all that kind of stuff, right? He's still out there trying to prove himself. On the other hand, he's a business owner. So he's a young business owner. So he's got all those things going on. And he's got a technology business, and so there's a lot of interesting things with having a technology business. So he's very good at doing like electronic and like motherboard repair. But there's a lot of shifts. There's a lot of shifts in this particular industry, and things that are very, very interesting to bring up. And not only that, but then he's also a young YouTube content creator that's becoming more successful. He's up to like 60,000 subscribers now. And again, what I always tell people is, the question with becoming a successful YouTube content creator, the real question is, can you get to 50,000 subscribers? Once you can get to 50,000 subscribers, then past that, basically it's all strategy. You know, it's creating good thumbnails and creating good clickbait titles and talking about subjects that people care about, right? You know, once you get to 50,000 subscribers, that's the question. Does anybody care about the sound of your voice? Do people want to listen to you? Right? When you have less than 50,000 subscribers, who the hell knows? When you have over 50,000 subscribers, that means there is something about you. You have some type of charisma that makes people want to actually watch you. And again, then past that, then it's just figuring out strategy for how you want to be more successful. And so I use Lewis a lot. Because he, like I say, he's just a very good foil. He's a very good example of what's going on. And then also I use him a lot, especially talk about things that he brings up in the videos, because he brings up a lot of different things that are interesting. You know, he talks about motherboard repair. And so it's curious, like people actually watch him repair motherboards. But then again, he's not fixed on anything yet. He hasn't found his style. Like Fail Normal has a style. I do these 1 hour. I do 1 hour talking to the camera about subject material and walk. This is my style, right? But if you look at like his stuff, he doesn't really have a style yet, so he's doing all of these different things. So first he does these little motherboard repair videos, and he's talking over that, so that's one thing. But then he does, like he's been doing these Dota Let's Play videos. Right. But anyway, he doesn't, right? And so that's a different style. Like doing Let's Play videos is different than doing motherboard repair videos. And then he talks about, like I say, the motherboards and the electronics. He talks about that. And then he talks about business. Talks about that. And then he goes and he starts talking about people's kids. And again, that's the thing. Maybe he went over the cliff with those people, kids. Whatever. And then he starts talking. And then he talks about things like his own personal life and his family and all this kind of stuff. So he talks about all these different things. And so by using him as an example, it's a good way you can go there, and I can talk about that. So it's like, you know, when he, again, I talked about this yesterday. So when he totally eviscerates his uncle in a video, it's a good way that we can. It's a good example of this is what he has done on YouTube. This is not Batcave rules. This is not, he told me, you know, these comments about his uncle in confidence, and now I'm going to go onto YouTube and share it with the world. This is what he said about his uncle on YouTube. And then we can talk about that, and we can have this little bit of this conversation of do you think that this is actually appropriate? Is, even if it's cathartic, do you think it's wise? You know, I can say, you know, my little first cousin once from whatever the hell, you know, when my little blonde 13-year-old corn-fed Indiana family member comes up to me and says, I watch your videos, I think you're funny, right? You know, how would I feel if I fucking like eviscerated her father? Not that I would, I like her father. But I'm just saying, right? And so we can talk about that because he puts all that out there. And so I talk about Lewis a lot because he's a good place, and it's a good example. And again, one of the reasons why I talk about the whole, like the YouTube content creation, and why I think you should think a little more about the whole YouTube content creation, is because he's also actually good at it. And this is what I don't understand with some people when they think I'm being mean. Like, how dare you tell him to be to YouTube content creator, whatever. And the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is this really is a skill. And this really is a ridiculously valuable skill. Again, like I say, I see the numbers that are passed across the table for me. And so, you know, one of the things I'm saying with him is it's like, you know, you look at the electronic business, you look at the technology business, you look at the issues that even you are discussing. Again, we're not talking about Batcave rules here when we talk about Lewis. He puts a lot of shit on the table. And so all I'm saying, look at all the stuff you put on the table. And then let me put a lot of my stuff on the table. and let's see how it works out. Again, like I say, like, you know, we talk about the whole things like with electronic repair. There's a lot of questions about electronic repair. Where is electronic repair going? You know, if Apple decided to actually manufacture their motherboards in an appropriate way, would his business still exist? If Apple simply, like, literally fuses their cases together to the point that you can't repair the motherboard even if you know how, does his business still exist? You know, the problem is like right now, so he's got, and I was in that world. He's got 2 employees in him, as I recall. And so the question is okay, you're 27 years old, and if you're 27 years old and you're a business person and you're an entrepreneur, what do you want to do? You want to grow. You want to scale, right? Most people want to grow and scale. And so the question is you need high quality employees to do the work that he does. Again, if you look at what Lewis does good work. Lewis does good work. And they're like, oh, then why are you being snarky on him, man? Why are you being snarky if you say he does good work? Because here's the problem. Replicating what the boss, the business owner can do sucks. And I was there, right? There is what you can do, and there is what you think is simple as hell, and then there's trying to get your employees to do like a fraction. Like I remember that when I had an argument with my employees one time, and literally I said, I want you to put a quarter of what I do into this business. A quarter. I don't want 50%. I don't want 110%. I want 25% out of you, right? And so that's the thing is, you know, talking with him about and going back and forth on this whole idea of, like I say, the technology business. And if you listen to him just talk about his business, again, you've got employee issues, which he talks about. Again, he's not nearly as mean as I am about it. But if you listen to what he says, it's the same message, just a little bit politer, right? You know, you talk about things like vendors. You talk about things like what the actual market is and where you're going and all that kind of stuff. And so one of the reasons why I bring up the YouTube content creation is, you know, IX. I need to remember what their name is. But it's either XI or IX. You know the company that created FreeNAS? So FreeNAS is an open source NAS server. Well, they actually create their own physical hardware too. And here's the thing. I have a $3,500 FreeNAS box sitting in my office right now. The specs of that server are better than most of your fucking gaming machines. And they literally gave me this box simply so I can do a couple videos about it and more people will know about their products. And so one of the things, like talking with Lewis about this, and like I say, going back and forth with this whole content creation thing, is a question of, there is this idea of what a content creator is. Well, content creation isn't real work. And again, I would say from a technical standpoint, no, content creation is simply real work that you don't have to worry about warranties for. That you don't have to worry about service contracts for. I'm going to go up there and I am going to play around with that IX, whatever, that FreeNAS server. I'm going to beat the shit out of it. I'm going to do a couple of videos of it, and then I'm going to put it in a box and it's going to collect dust. I'm not going to have to worry about it crashing in a week. I'm not going to have to worry about it crashing in 2 months. I'm not going to have to worry about it crashing in 3 years and then being called for warranty. Eli, isn't this under warranty? Dude, it was 3 years ago. No, it's not under fucking warranty. Or, well, yes, the hard drive is under warranty, but my labor isn't under warranty, right? And so, like, that's one of the things, like, I keep bringing up to him, is, like, this whole idea of, like, hey, if you are an electronics expert, which he is, he's a professional in electronics world, he does all this stuff, and it's like, hey, if you can make content, and again, like I say, I know other places. I know places, I have seen contracts on the table for $50,000 for a 60-minute custom video. 50 fucking thousand. Now I admit. I mean, you need a good video editor, like an actual professional editor, and I will admit you need some stuff. But I also will say that is still an insane profit margin. It's a ridiculous profit margin, right? And so that's the thing to be thinking about. It's like, okay, well, if you're this professional, if you've got the charisma to be able to create good content, and you want to stay in the tech world, you want to stay a real technology professional, the other thing is to think about it. You don't have to be Linus. And again, nothing against Linus, but Linus is a very forward assembly line tech video. It's like, you don't have to do that, but you can go out there and you can create all these kind of weird, wacky, zany, like electronics videos, and actually make a lot of money off of it. And the difference is that you get to go home at the end of the day, right? You don't have to worry about the warranties. If you do a solder job, frankly, as long as a solder job lasts as long as you're taping that video, it's good. If that solder job fails 30 minutes after you finish taping the video, it doesn't matter. Throw it in the bin, because guess what? The video's already over. Right? Again, you do everything ethically and make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to do. But again, if you have like random quirks that come up, who the hell cares? Throw it in the bin. And so these are some of the things to be thinking about. Like I say, when I bring up the whole thing with Lewis, is it's just like, and how do you scale a business? Again, if you want to scale a video business, I can tell you what, scaling a video business is a hell of a lot easier than scaling a tech business, because you have all of these wannabe video people out there that'll work for peanuts. And realistically, they'll do really good quality work. And again, you start them at peanuts when they're worth peanuts, but then you can scale them up. They can make a lot of money for everybody, right? Again, like I say, video editor. How many people out there want to be professional video editors? And they'll go out there and they'll work their butt off, right? Whereas, again, if you're going to do electronic repair, and again, like I said, if you're a video editor and you screw up a cut, oh well, right? As long as you have a good back-end server that keeps all your video files, there's no big deal there. Whereas, again, if you have an electronics person who freaking like fries the CPU or whatever because they're not paying attention, right? And I had one of the best techs I ever had, just started to lose their damn mind at one point. And I swear to you, one of the best tech, he had been my field engineer, had to bring him back in because he was just acting weird and wonky. And then literally one day I had him building computers. It was still when we assembled computers. And he was literally breaking off screws in the case because he wouldn't breathe in and breathe out and find the right screws. He was like, all these screws are wrong. These are wrong screws for the case. And then out of all the screws that were on the table, I picked up the right screws and said no. And like literally, he had already like broken off 5 screws in the case. So again, and this was a smart guy. This is a person like I was just sitting there like dumbfounded because he had been like so smart. I had sent him out to like work on like business systems and had gotten good reports back. Because we sent him out to technology companies to fix their systems and had gotten great reports back. And these are people that basically knew the work that he was doing. They just didn't want to do it. And then like at a certain point, he just started losing his shit. And all of a sudden it's like breaking off freaking screws and right. And so that's the thing, like I say, like with video editing, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. There's no like Active Directory configuration that you can screw up. And so there's all these things. And then like I say with Lewis, there's this idea like somehow content creation isn't real work. It's not manly work, right? And again, one of the things to talk to you guys about is thinking about the solutions. Think about what good you're actually doing in the world. So if you have one person like Lewis, and let's say he's amazing and he's awesome, right? And he's doing man work, he's doing real work. And he sits there and let's say he repairs 5 motherboards in a day. He did man work, adult work, electronic geek work, and he fixed 5 motherboards in a day. Well, then think about that, like I say, with the content creation thing, if you come up with classes and you figure out how all of it works, and then you teach 1,000 people how to do motherboard repair, and then from your effort, you can have 1,000 people repairing 5 motherboards per day, which is 5,000 motherboards per day. So who is the real man? The man. The person who personally has his hands fixing 5 motherboards per day. Or the person who inspires and teaches and shows how 1,000 other people can do the work. And they each can do 5. And so you have 5,000 done. Right, again, this whole world about like, what are you actually doing? Because again, so many people are so like focused on like being elbow deep. If you're not elbow deep, you're not a real geek. And you're like, well, there's a lot of other jobs in business, right? And again, so that's the thing. Like, think about being able to go out there and inspire all these people to be able to do all this amazing work, and you don't have warranty issues at the end of the day, and you have something that's a hell of a lot more scalable than a normal electronic business. So I give them crap, right? We've been going through that. Right? Anyways, so I get all this snark. All this crap on my YouTube, my YouTube feed. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because we've been going back and forth about this, and this is all friendly. This is all nice. I get a little claw every once in a while. But again, when you're doing hour-long videos every day. So I talk about it. And then, and so I get all this crap. In my comment feed. And these people are like, oh, Lewis went all Street Fighter on you today. And I sat there and I was a little dumbfounded. I was surprised. Like, oh, crap. Did I say something that actually pissed Lewis off? Because I feel like Lewis and I have a good relationship. Again, we're basically on the same mental thing. We've talked over Skype. We've had emails back and forth. I figure if I say anything that really pisses him off, that he would say something to me. I also figure most of the things that I kind of ding him on, I mean, I think he thinks these things himself, to be honest with you. Most of the stuff I ding him on is basically standard business crap. I mean, it's what we're all thinking about. And even when I talk about maybe quasi-personal stuff, I mean, again, once you say it in a YouTube video, it's a little hard to claim it's personal anymore. How dare you talk about that thing that I said to my 60,000 subscribers? Like, well, again, once you broadcast it to 60,000 subscribers, I figure it's pretty fair game. It's not Batcave rules. It's not like you were down in my Batcave and told me this, right? So anyway, so I get this. Oh, the screens. Oh, he went all Street Fighter on your ass. Oh, golly. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about it. Okay, let me go look in his videos. And so again, he's putting out quite a few videos at this point. He'll put out to like 3 videos a day. And I haven't kept up with all of them. Because again, he started doing these Let's Play videos. Anyways, hey, God bless. You make views, but it's like, oh, that's not what I meant. Anyways. So, you know, I don't keep up with all of his videos anymore. 1, he puts a lot out, and then 2, some of them are like Let's Play or whatever. I just don't care about. So I go through, and I send him an email before I do, and I say, oh, I hear you want Street Fighter on my ass. I hope I didn't, like, actually say anything, like, too bad. Because, you know, again, some people get... Because especially for me, like being like the Aspie, like sometimes I will say things that I honestly believe are 100% A-okay, legit, and it pisses people off. And again, it's not about right or wrong. Of course I'm right, but they're pissed off, and that's not a good thing. So, you know, I was like, I wonder if I said something. Like, because I did that whole, you know, YouTube and porn star, and I used him as an example because he talks about his uncle, and he talks about getting a call that his mom committed suicide. And so I was like, I don't know, maybe I talked about that a little bit. Again, I didn't say it horribly. I just said, look, is this the kind of thing that you really want to put out to the world forever? That's my question. So then maybe it was that, you know. So maybe I said something, or I was like, oh, you know, I wonder. And so I go and I look through his videos, and then I find one that has my face plastered on the thumbnail. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is what people are talking about. So I was worried. I was like, oh, golly, did I overdo it? Did I say something wrong? Eli went too far, right? So I turn on the video, and he's talking about his little multimeter probes, and he says that, you know, people think that just because if you don't see him actually using tools in the videos, he's not actually using them. He said, oh, no. And so he pulls out this little Bert doll with my face glued to it. And then shows video clips of me talking about how he's gonna be jealous and all that kind of stuff from my Fail Normal channel, and then he takes like the multimeter probe and like sticks it into the Bert doll like it's a voodoo doll, and then shows like other clips of me sitting there with my bloated foot, or me sitting there sick in Siam Reap or whatever, and he's kind of like sniggering as he does it, right? And I sit there and I look at it and I laugh at it. I'm like, huh, and then I watch it again. So I watch it all the way through again. Because then, like I say, in the bottom, there's all this kind of horrible stuff. So I got horrible stuff on my channel, and then I look through his comments. There's all these horrible things about how I'm an asshole, and this proves how arrogant I am, and this shows what a piece of crap I am, and all this stuff. Right? I'm like, huh. And so then I watch it again. And I'm like, well, it's part of the joke. Right, because there's like this running joke, there's this running storyline, because I was saying that I think in 5 years he'll be a full-time content creator, and I put $100 down on that, and then I said, ha, Lewis is going to be so jealous when I'm like partying on the beach, and he's sitting in his little room, you know, huffing solder fumes or whatever, and then of course the first big trip I do for Fail Normal, and I get cellulitis in my foot, and I'm on 4 or 5 days bed rest for that, and then I do... And then I get horrible food poisoning in Siam Reap. And I'm in bed rest basically for 5 days of that. And so basically, like out of like a 3-week adventure, I was on bed rest like 10 days. And so somebody made the joke in my Failed Normal comment feed saying like, Lewis, do you have a voodoo doll? Are you using voodoo against Eli? Serves him right, you using that voodoo doll or whatever against Eli, right? And so this is a continuing storyline. It's a continuing joke that kind of goes back and forth between our channels. And so somebody literally makes the comment that, you're using a voodoo doll. And then he pulls out a little burnt voodoo doll. And then, as a geek, uses the multimeter probes as a way to poke the voodoo doll. And then does the clips back and forth. Me going, right. And again, it's funny. It's within the storyline. Everything is a-okay. There is zero about this. There is zero about this that I took poorly, right? Like literally, like if you would just show me that video, I just would have laughed and gave it a thumbs up, and I shared it too. Like there's nothing there like, oh no, I pissed off Lewis. This is part of the banter that goes back and forth because we are real adult men and we can give each other tiny bits of shit and not fucking worry about it, right? Again, as I told Lewis a long time ago, my wife, I want you to the bottom of my heart, bottom of your heart, my heart, from the bottom of my heart, Lewis, I want you to know, my wife wants me to apologize to you. From the bottom of my heart, my wife wants me to apologize to you. Well, you can go back and forth on this. Fucking men, right? Or adults. I don't say men, but adults, right? But you get this thing, and it was so amazing to see how many of the viewers and how many of the commenters took this thing so piss poor. We're having this little geek pissing contest back and forth, having a fun time. I lob a grenade, he lobs a grenade, we go back and forth. And then you see these people just kind of almost out of nowhere lose their shit. I can't believe what a ridiculous, blah, blah, you can read the comments. Really fucking brutal. And then not only are they brutal on his channel about me, but then they go to my channel, my failed normal channel, and get all brutal about me. And how dare you talk about these horrible things about Lewis? And again, I'm sitting there scratching my head, because this is where I really lose it with most people. This is why most people piss me off so much. Get this through their heads. I am saying Lewis has very good content creator skills. I am saying he is very good on a video camera explaining business and technology topics. I am saying in the world, there are honestly not that many people that can explain business and technology topics well to a large audience. Again, we're going back and forth about this whole electronic creator thing. I am not saying, Lewis, you can't repair a motherboard if your life depended on it, or you don't know the difference between a resistor and a capacitor. What I'm saying is, look, you're looking at this nice big pile of silver right here, but right behind that nice big pile of silver is the big pile of gold. The big pile of gold. I'm just saying, maybe you should think about that pile of gold. I know you got a big pile of silver, and silver is nice, but there's gold just another block down, and there's a whole pile of gold for you to take, right? This isn't an insult. This is, you're really good at creating content. And if you look at a lot of these business things, I mean, again, I'll have other CEOs, and they can discuss this kind of stuff. But again, this is, like I say, the future of the tech world, the future of this whole thing. It's not, like I say, this whole, I want to be a computer repair professional. Again, like I say, if you're going to be Lewis and you're going to be soldering motherboards, but again, like I say, even with Lewis, it's not that he's not good at it, but again, it's a question of how do you scale that? And again, when you're 27, you're willing to do things that you don't want to do when you're 37, to be honest with you. And so that's the question. It's like, okay, well, on your path you're now, where are you going to be at 37? I say, if you've got the skills to be a content creator, if you really can explain this stuff, at 37, there's an entire frickin' world that's open to you. Blue skies. Again, sitting there soldering motherboards, where's that going to be when you're 36? Is that what you want to be doing? And that's a lot of people get into that little trap. Oh, and that's all. That's like I said, that's all I'm saying. But like I said, all right. And so I say, then I email back and forth with Lewis, because again, we are in email terms. He has my Skype, we have Skyped together, we email, I don't know, maybe once a week or so. So again, we email back and forth, and he's like, no. He was like, no, I was just making a joke. I was just lobbing a grenade back at you. The funny part was, he actually said that he thought my viewers were going to be the ones that got all snarky at him. And I was like, oh, Lewis, you don't understand my viewers. My viewers are a bit like my wife, because my wife, we're actually talking about that. She was like, well, you know, it's always good when you get to be a little more humble. Take you down a peg or two. And so it's one of those things. When my own wife says that it's not a bad thing when I get taken down a peg or two, I just don't believe my viewing base is going to be running to my defense anytime soon. So it was funny because he was talking about it. He's like, yeah, no, I actually thought your viewers were going to give me a whole bunch of crap. It's like, yeah, no. Sad to say, my viewers were probably quite happy. My viewers were probably the ones that laughed the hardest at that voodoo doll. They're like, yeah, motherfucker, take that, Eli. But then we're talking about it, and yeah, it was all of his, like I say, so many of his viewers just lost their shit. But the thing is, though, so many of his viewers just don't seem to understand the storyline. So many of his viewers just don't seem to understand that this is a story arc and that we've been going back and forth about this. And there are no hard feelings. Again, if he showed up at my door, I'd offer him a cup of coffee and not think twice about it. There's no right? But there's that thing. There's that idea in like people's heads, and they see things. And then it's so easy, especially in this modern world, to just take things so completely and utterly out of context. And you put all of this stuff onto a situation that isn't necessarily there. And it's a very curious thing to see. And so that's where I would say with a lot of the YouTube drama nowadays, like I say, when people are talking about YouTube drama, and Grade A actually talked about this. This isn't new. Grade A talked about this a few days ago. But that most of the YouTube drama is actually the YouTube commenters and the YouTube users. Now, the YouTube creators, we really don't have that much drama amongst ourselves. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's a lot of people that genuinely hate Keemstar. But if you take Keemstar out of the picture and you take Sam Pepper out of the picture, okay, you take a few people out of the picture. But most of us really don't honestly have real beefs with each other. Most of us really, really don't. Like I say, even if we get a little snotty with each other on creating content on our YouTube videos, I mean, it's just the back and forth of professionals. It's just the pissing contest. Whatever happened to good old people being able to have good old fashioned pissing contests? You know what I'm saying? Like when I was a kid and when I was growing up, like pissing contests were normal things. You had two males that, you know, for whatever reason, one person thought they were better than the other one, and you go out there and you do really stupid things. I bet I can eat a watermelon before you can. Or I bet I can pee farther than you can. Or I bet tug of war, I can tug you, war you, whatever, better than you can. And you'd have these stupid pissing contests. They weren't fisticuffs, and they weren't mean, they weren't angry. You just have two people that feel they're cool, and so you do these stupid, and again, pissing contests just to prove a point. Again, there's no harm, there's no foul. At the end of it, you go have a Coca-Cola or a beer or whatever, and it's all good. But there's somehow in like this modern world, like right? So many people take things so fucking seriously, and you're just like right? So what would my advice be? What would my advice be on this? You know, what is the takeaway? I think the big takeaway that I would take is if you're a follower of YouTube creators, the one thing to realize is that YouTube creators are in fact real human beings, and most of us are adults. We can fight our own fights. We can fight our own fights. We do not. Most of us, unless we're horribly autistic, do not have to order 66 anybody. Order 66ing, just so we're all clear, Order 66ing appears to be some weird-ass crap in the fitness world that just makes all the fitness people look like big nitwits. It's like, so all of these big, tough, beefy SOBs are basically acting like 14-year-olds. That doesn't make them look any better, right? But for most of us, we don't need to order 66. We don't need to send our legions of people off to give other people crap. Because we can defend ourselves. We can defend ourselves. And basically, if I say something really horrible to Lewis is an adult. Lewis can actually call YouTube or whatever else and try to have something done about me. Like I said, if I really did something really horrible, you could even try to have a lawsuit against me or something like that. He's an adult, right? If Lewis said something really horrible about me, I could call up my my YouTube advisor or whatever and say, this person is liable against me. What can I do, right? We can deal with this on our own. So the first thing that I would think about is that when you're dealing with content creators and all that kind of thing, the first is that most people are adults and they don't need you necessarily fighting their fights for them. Not only the YouTube world, again, I like using YouTube just because this is a platform. Obviously, we're all on. You're watching this on YouTube, therefore we can talk about it. But it also goes out to the rest of the world where you see so many people trying to fight other people's fights. Right? You know, there's this whole thing of you go to the office and you find out some employee is making less money than you. You know, you're making $2 an hour more than they are. And that is wrong. That is wrong. How dare they? Blah, blah, blah. This just proves that the bosses are idiots and this and that and the other thing. And then what you don't realize, because you don't actually pay enough attention, is that maybe the reason that they make $2 less an hour is because there's a weird hiring thing with a company. I've actually seen this before where it's like one of those things. In order to have full-time, in order to get full benefits, you have to be full-time. But for some reason, they have a family member that's sick or something like that. And so, benefits doesn't come out of the department fund a lot of times. Doesn't come out of the department bank account, the department accounts. Benefits comes from somewhere else, where salary comes out of the account. And so the boss looks at it and says, I don't want this employee to lose their benefits. But if they're not doing a full-time job, I also can't have them pulling a full-time amount of money out of my account. So if I deduct how much money they make per hour. So basically, let's say in order to get benefits, you have to work 35 hours a week. But for whatever reason, this person is only working, let's say 35 or 25 hours per week because of issues. And so the person goes, okay, well, I can kind of screw around with this system. So what I can do is instead of paying the person this amount of money, I can pay them $2 or $3 less per hour. But then, instead of putting them on the books for 25 hours, I put them on the books for 35 hours. So therefore, they cross the hourly threshold in order to get benefits. But they don't ding my accounts any more than how much they actually work. Right? But you get all angry and all self-righteous and you start screaming about what is right and what is wrong and how dare you do pay this person less. And then you have a whole bunch in the office saying, shut up, shut up, you don't understand. The boss is actually fucking around with the system just so that person can keep their benefits. But, right? But so many people, they feel like other people's fights are theirs to have. And it's like, but you don't understand everything that's going on, and let the adults fight their fights. Again, if I ask for an order 66 against Louis Rossman, I expect you to snap too. Hup, hup, go! But until I order 66 Louis, or Louis order 66 is me, don't worry about it. We're adults. We can handle it. So the first thing to think about is, again, especially if you're getting all self-righteous and you're going to fight and we're going to argue for other people, is realize, why are you arguing and fighting for the other people? Again, don't you have bigger problems in your life? All the people that are getting like snarky and mean and mad at me, are you getting the salary you deserve at your job? Are you getting the grades that you deserve at your school? Are you getting the respect you deserve from your family? Are all of those things dealt with? Have you fixed all of those things? Because maybe before you go fighting other people's fights, maybe you need to fight your own. Because that's what you see with a lot of people, right? Because they want to go fight other people's fights because they can't really handle fighting their own. and again, and then it just gets all bad, right? Then the other thing to be thinking about is, do you actually understand the storyline, and do you understand the context that everything is in? Again, maybe if you look at the one video that Lewis did, maybe it looks bad. Again, I don't know. He has a Bert doll and using as a voodoo thing. I mean, I watched it twice and my wife watched it and we both laughed. So I'm not really sure why people get so bent out of shape about it. But the question is do you understand what is going on? And should you get more information? Again, even leaving a comment. Hey, Lewis, I didn't realize you and Eli had such a horrible falling out. And then Lewis can say, we didn't have a falling out. This is just another part of our pissing contest, right? Or you can go and you can watch the other videos. Again, they had clips of me. Lewis had clips of me from these videos. And again, those are, and one of the things to think about, like with context, is so, again, I do hour videos, right? I do an hour-long video almost every day. So when he was taking clips out of those videos, his entire video was 7.5 minutes long. And he took clips out of five or six videos. So that's 5 or 6 hours minimum. And he took little snippets out of. So maybe going back and watching, at least a half an hour of the videos that he took the clips out of might give you a better context for what's going on. But again, so many people, they argue and they scream and they yell and I can't believe this is happening. And yet they don't understand any of the context of what's happening, right? So again, if you find out that your fellow employee is making $2 less an hour, before you go batshit, before you go ballistic, before you start telling your boss what a royal piece of crap they are, well, if you just sat down with that fellow employee and said, so why are you making $2 an hour or less? That seems a little odd, right? But a lot of people, they don't want to do that. They don't want to think about the context because that would mean they would have to think about it, right? They just want to go bat crap crazy. So that's a thing. So much of the drama in life, so much of the drama is all the stuff that goes on in people's heads. It's what they create. Again, like I say, Lewis and I have zero drama. Zero drama. If he showed up on my doorstep, I'd offer him a cup of coffee. I would not be scared. I would not be like, oh no, why? Well, I would be like, why is Lewis on my doorstep? Because he's from 3 hours away. But you know what I'm saying. I'm not exactly. There's nothing there. But again, you see so many people you're like, that's all in your head. And B, you don't understand the context. And so C, you're losing your mind. And you're the one that's looking like a stoopy head. And that's the worst part, right? Because when you get in the middle of people's fights, and that's the other thing too, like with fights, I learned that lesson a long time ago. Because again, I've been around lots of different types of people, and I like sane people. I like sane, level-headed people. But a portion of my life, I was around completely insane people. And here's what you don't understand. Insane people like insanity. Right? True. Right, here's one of the funniest things in the world. You know, one of the, other than traffic stops, one of the most dangerous calls a police officer can get is for domestic violence. Domestic violence. Right? And here's the most fucked up thing with domestic violence. So imagine this woman calls up and says, help, my husband is beating me. I'm worried he's going to kill me. So again, if you are a normal, sane human being, that puts something in your head. Holy fuck, we gotta put this husband down, non-lethally, and get him out of this environment. Here's the most fucked up thing in the world, right? This happens with police. This is why I do give police officers a lot of sympathy. Again, there's quite a few police officers out there that need to be put in a cage. But there's a lot of police officers out there that are really trying to do good in the world. And here's one thing, like the domestic violence, this is real world, right? So you pull up to a domestic violence case. You go in there, oh my God, the man is losing his mind. The woman's like, I'm worried he's gonna kill me. And so you go in there, you grab the fucking husband, you plaster him against the wall. And what do? You pull out those handcuffs and you're throwing the handcuffs on him. And at that point, what do you think the most dangerous part of that situation is? What do you think the most dangerous part of that situation is? Do you think it's the husband that just got his head plastered against the wall? That's what you think, right? No, in reality, the most dangerous part of the situation is when the wife then goes, no, I didn't want him arrested. And then goes batshit on the police officer. So So the police officer literally is called to a domestic violence case. The police officer literally puts the abuser in handcuffs, and then at that point in time, they actually have to worry about physical attack from the person that was getting abused, from the person that made the call, because I want him to stop, but I love him, so I don't want him to go to jail, and police officers are evil, so I don't want you to do whatever you're going to do to him. But ma'am, you called us because he was beating you. It's fucking dangerous. Dangerous shit. Talk about the police officer. Talk about domestic violence cases. You see them going, right? And so one of the things you have to be thinking about with any kind of arguments and all that kind of stuff is, are you sure, like with sometimes, that you want to be in the middle of the argument? Do you know how you're going to disengage yourself from the argument? And are you sure that the people don't actually like the argument? Again, that's one of the things I talk about, like with a lot of these videos, where solutions are pretty easy. You want a better life, you want to make more money, you want this, that, the other thing. It's relatively easy, actually. Oh, but it is, right? You can go talk to any business person, you can talk to any successful person. Again, you find a valuable niche that you're willing to do the work on 1,000 times, and then you do the work on it 1,000 times, and you solve a lot of problems. Again, like any problem can be solved. It may take time. Like a lot of people I know people with really bad depression, really bad mental issues, and yes, it may take a decade. I'm not saying it's easy. It may take a decade to be able to work through. But if you spend the decade, you can work through it. But what you find out is a lot of people don't actually want the solution. They like the craziness. They like the insanity. They feel best in this absolutely batshit world, right? And so one of the things you also have to think about too is, like when you walk into a situation and you're trying to get into the middle of it, are you sure you know what all sides want? Right? Because a lot of people like batshit. A lot of people like batshit crazy. And even if you haven't been called in and you get yourself in the middle, are you really sure? Are you really confident that when you get in the middle, you're not going to be the one that turns into the colossal asshole? Then I learned this the hard way. I saw some brutal shit, and I got in the middle. And everybody hated me. It was like, what? Wait a minute. But I help people. I solved the problem. I stopped the brutal shit. And I'm the bastard. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Damn it. And that was one of those. That was a big lesson in life. Like, no, look. Like, they like insanity. They appreciate and say that whole weird, nutty ass, whatever the hell you're watching, you think it's abusive, right? It has all the hallmarks of abuse. But it doesn't mean that both sides aren't enjoying it on their own little way. And it doesn't mean that both sides don't want to keep it going. So especially if you haven't been called to try to fix the problem, yeah, maybe, again. So I always say, do you need my help? If they don't respond, or they don't say, yes, I need your, then I walk out, right? You don't, like giving your unsolicited help, many times can turn you into the asshole. And again, like I say, with these people that are all going batshit on me, they don't understand the situation. They don't understand the storyline. They don't understand the back and forth with Lewis. And so on my channel, they're getting banned left and right. Again, I use the ban hammer. I have zero issue with the ban. You come onto my channel and you personally insult me or you personally insult somebody else, and you're gone. You're fucking gone. So you come on and you're gonna fight the fight that nobody asked you to fight, and then you get ban hammered. And now I know some of you folks might be like, oh, well, what does it matter, Eli? What does it matter if I get ban hammered on your channel? Who the hell cares about getting ban hammered on fail normal? But remember, YouTube's got its algorithm, right? And so one of the things you got to figure, like you see if you're a content creator, you see all the stuff that automatically gets dumped in the spam bin. So you got to think, if you get all batshit on people and a few content creators purposely hide your comments forever and ever, amen, you have to believe you're basically going to start going to the spam bin for everybody, right? It's just an algorithm. I was talking with my YouTube partner, my YouTube advisor today. And again, they are working specifically on making YouTube a safe environment for content creators. So if you start getting flagged because you're an asshat, at what point do your comments just not show up? Again, that's a funny thing. Like I get some snarky people that are, oh, it's like, dude, your comments just get dumped in the spam bin. Again, like I say, when I go on Eli the Computer Guy, the channel, there's like 500 comments in the spam bin. I don't even clear them out. I don't even deal with them anymore. There's just too much. All from people being snarky. Right? Is this the fight? Is this your fight to be getting in the middle of? Or is it all just whatever the hell is going on in your head? Anyways, something to ponder there. Something to ponder, but yes. Lewis and I do not have bad blood. Again, and that's one thing. Like anybody who wonders, like, oh, one, we're just going back and forth in pissing contests. But what I really have to say is true. They're the honest thing. Is when I have bad blood with somebody, I don't talk about them ever. Ever. That's how you can kind of sort of tell if there's actually bad. If there's somebody like significant that I'm dealing with, and then I never talk about, well, that's kind of hard, because either I'm trying to keep them, but anyways, basically for me, if I never talk about somebody, that's more the issue of bad blood, especially if it's a business thing, because again, in business, any advertising is good advertising. Like even if I called Louis Rossmann a complete and utter asshat, and I did that on every single video. If I opened every video of Fail Normal and said, today I would like to say that I reiterate that Louis Rossmann is an asshat. That's actually advertising, right? Because then people are like, who the fuck's Louis Rossmann? And then they go to Louis Rossmann's channel, and they take a look at Louis Rossmann, and then he gets more views, and some people go, I don't think Louis Rossmann is an asshat, and they subscribe, and that's all good, right, for Louis Rossmann. So what I do when I really don't want to deal with anybody, don't want to support them, is I just don't talk about them at all, ever, because that's a thing, because any advertising is good advertising. So if I just want them to slowly spiral and sink down the drain of oblivion, then I will just never, ever mention them. Maybe mention them every once in a while, but not too much, right? And so that's one of those things to be thinking about. Because like I say, with Louis, I mean, like I say, it's advertising for him. And again, like I say, for me, a lot of people get all snarky. I don't know why people get so snarky and mean when I talk about being a professional creator. Like there's this weird psychological thing, like creators. Somehow, like being a content creator isn't a real job. And here's the thing, boys and girls. I went through one of the longest electronics programs the U.S. Army has to offer. I got my bachelor's degree in 2.5 years. I have 600 hours of emergency services training, everything from cave rescue to dive rescue to bodyguard, personal protection work, U.S. Army combat lifesaver, Coast Guard, Air Force, inland search and rescue coordinator, right? All that kind of stuff. I've got all this. I got my MCSE all the way back to NT4. I did a VIA PBX. I got all this. I've got all this stuff, right? And so it's really weird. Like you come on to YouTube. I mean, you're a creator, and people have this idea that like somehow this isn't a real job. So I don't know if it's not a real job for me. Then what the fuck is it? Dude, it makes me money. Why? Again, like I say, there's this idea like everybody on YouTube is like some like stoned video game player. Then again, I don't even understand why they shouldn't make money. But again, for me, like, I don't understand why people are so snarky and mean about this whole idea of content creator. But put that aside, what you do have to realize is I am a professional content creator at this point. Again, 6.5 years been doing this stuff. And now I'm very happy to see that Amazon has come out with their streaming service. And there's another streaming service, I think it's called SVC, that I've looked at. So now, YouTube actually has competition. YouTube has competition. And so one of the reasons why I've always been a little sheepish about this whole content creation thing is because when you've only got one player, when you've only got a monopoly, even if the monopoly doesn't mean to be an asshole, well, you see what YouTube does, right? Even if they don't mean to be jackasses, well, monopolies just end up being jackasses. So what I really like with Amazon being a good service, and again, what about Dailymotion? Fuck Dailymotion. But Amazon being a good service, and this other service called I think it's SVC that I looked at. See, there's actually alternatives to YouTube now. So if YouTube does blow up or YouTube does screw me, I can move over to other platforms. Now, why is that important? Is because as I sit here and I talk about Louis Rossmann a lot, I know right now there's a lot of people that are like, oh, Eli is just trying to get views. Eli's talking about this big YouTube content creator just to milk off of his views. It's like, guys, you do realize my other channel with 700,000 subscribers, my main channel with 700,000 subscribers. This channel is a tenth of Louis Rossmann's. My other channel is 15, 16, 17 times the size of Louis Rossmann's. But the thing is, again, talking about Louis Rossmann, is that this content creation is my job at this point. Content creation is my profession. Content creation is my business. So right now, you may look at it and it looks like I'm milking off Louis Rossmann's success. But the reality is this is what I'm putting all the time, energy, money, effort into. And if this channel isn't multiple times the size of Louis Rossmann's within 2 years, then I have abysmally failed. And so again, right now, when I do these videos talking about Louis Rossmann, be like, oh, look, he's 1,000 or 2,000 views. Look, it's Eli milking off of him. And the point that Louis, I think, understands, I wish other people did, is this is where all my effort and energy is going to. So in 2 years, when hopefully I am exponentially bigger than he is, then these videos will be much more powerful. Hey, look at this advertising for this other guy, Louis Rossmann, who's down there. And again, I know you may laugh at that, but I mean, I remember when other people were so much bigger than me. I remember looking up to Chris Pirillo, right? I remember when like Chris Pirillo, he had like 300,000 subscribers. I was like, wow, I wonder if one day I'll be like Chris Pirillo. Or I remember Wheezy Waiter. I still watch some of Wheezy Waiters, but I was like, wow, Wheezy Waiter has like 450,000 subscribers. And now I have 100,000 subscribers more than Wheezy Waiter. There's all these other people like, wow, look at them. And then again, it's like any kind of business. You put out good content that people want to constantly see, and you keep growing. And all of a sudden, those people that were way above you are below you. And so again, all the conversation and all the talking of stuff, hopefully I've done about Louis Rossmann, again, like I say, in a year or two, these will be valuable classic videos, right? All advertising for him. And anyways, actually, it's not bad advertising now. I mean, these videos are getting 1,000 to 2,000 views at this point. I wouldn't complain about that. I think Louis needs to talk more about me, damn it. It was a bit of a one-sided pissing contest in some ways. Damn it. Anyways, so those are some thoughts. Those are some thoughts on the whole Louis thing. But yeah, I mean, one of the reasons, like I say, I talk about him, I talk about other YouTubers, is again, the entire point of this channel is I want you folks coming to your own decisions. I want you folks thinking problems through. And then again, like I say, coming to your own decisions. And so why I like using Louis as an example is because he's good for just so many examples. He is a young man. I mean, he's still 27. He's a young business owner in the tech world that has multiple skills, that has to figure out what the future is. Because again, what he's doing exactly right now, probably I can't believe it's going to be completely viable in 4 years. And so that's the thing, is do you skew a little bit? Do you skew a lot? Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you do the other thing? And so talking about his things, and he talks about so many different things, is just good. And so you can go there and you can think about it, and sometimes you think I have my head up my ass, and sometimes you think he has his head up his ass, and sometimes you think we're both idiots, and that's good. No downside there, no downside there. But anyways, that is a thing. YouTube drama, and most drama, is actually in it's in your head. It's not actually about the other people. It's what's going on in your head. So again, before you get involved with other people's drama, fix your own things. Are you getting paid? But again, before you start worrying about other people's paychecks, deal with getting paid enough, right? Before you start worrying about other people's family issues, you have the conversation you need to have with your spouse, or your kids, or whatever else, right? Before you hop into everybody else's problems, it's a little bit wiser in so many ways just to fix your own issues. Is what I would say. So that's about it for the day. I had a good conversation with my new YouTube partner, advocate, whatever the hell she is. So again, after I went all batshit crazy, bat crap crazy back in February and said I was going to leave YouTube once they screwed around with me, they gave me a YouTube partner manager. And so I had a good partner manager for like 3 months, 4 months. I felt like we were connecting, or at least we understood each other. And of course, that means in YouTube world, they got to get rid of them and get another one. So I've got to break another YouTube partner manager in. So that was good. Had a nice little half an hour hangout with her. She seems nice. I'm not sure how useful it'll be, but you know, the main thing that I like with the YouTube partners is if there is a problem, I actually have somebody to call now. That's the biggest thing. And I did find out talking with her, tags. Tags are apparently not as important as you think they are. That was the advice I was given. If you're going to do a lot of work on tags, you might not want to worry about doing a lot of work on tags. Thumbnails, titles, and descriptions are where the money is. Apparently video tags, I was told, wouldn't spend a lot of extraneous time on. So there's a lesson. There is a lesson for you to think about whenever you're doing your videos. But anyways, I've been babbling now for an hour and 11 minutes, which I think is good. I'm trying to give you some of this extra video time since there were a few days in there where I only gave you like 30 minutes, which was completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. You come here for hour-long videos. Anything less than an hour really just is unacceptable. So I'm giving you some extra time here. At least we'll say that. So with that, I'm sure there's other things to say, but we will leave them for tomorrow's video. So I will give you a view of the wall, the nice, beautiful stone wall. And with that, we'll call it a day and see you folks tomorrow.